All right, so someone sent us this motivational podcast script.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it's called Unstoppable You, Turning Dreams into Reality.
Oh,
And instead of just playing it like we normally would, we're going to do a deep dive into it and see what we can learn from it. So
I like it.
it's like 7 minutes long,
Okay.
and it jumps right into the feeling of being overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm.
which I think we can all relate to. We're trying to start something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it says, start messy, start small. And I'm curious about that. What do you think about that? Is that good advice?
I mean, it's definitely a catchy phrase.
Yeah.
And I think it really speaks to the fear of perfectionism that I think a lot of people struggle with when they're trying to, begin something new or finally go for that goal they've always wanted to. But I think it really depends on the context. If you're talking about learning a complex skill, like, I don't know, surgery, maybe starting messy isn't the best approach.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, just start cutting and see what happens.
Yeah, don't start messy there.
Yeah.
You want to be pretty precise.
But I do think there's a difference between starting messy and being reckless.
Right.
And I do see the value in, what they're saying about shifting the focus to the process rather than, being fixated on the end goal.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense because I think when we focus so much on the end goal, it can feel very intimidating. Like, how do we ever get there?
Yeah, it's too big.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I'm never going to get there.
So, yeah, focusing on the journey, I think, can make those big goals seem much less daunting.
Yeah, and speaking of daunting, the script then goes on to talk about failure, but not in the way I was expecting.
Interesting. How so?
Well, they kind of flip the script and say that failure is feedback.
Okay.
Have you heard that before?
Oh, yeah. Failure as feedback is a pretty common idea in a lot of motivational content.
Mm-hmm.
I think it sounds good on the surface.
Yeah.
But does it actually help people overcome, their fear of failure?
Right.
Just by renaming it.
Yeah. Does calling it something different make it any less scary?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I've also read that focusing too much on avoiding failure can actually make you more risk averse.
That makes sense.
So it's kind of like a catch-22.
Yeah, it's complicated. I mean, this script also uses the phrase, your greatest lessons come disguised as challenges.
Ooh, I like that one.
It sounds good, right?
Yeah.
But I think it kind of oversimplifies things because some failures, they're just failures,
They are what they are.
They are what they are. The key, I think, is learning how to tell the difference between productive setbacks and, just dead ends.
Right. So don't just embrace every failure, but you got to understand what it's teaching you.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. And so then...
So we started messy or not?
Yeah.
Reframed failure.
Yep.
What's next?
Well, then they go on to talk about consistency.
Yeah.
And this is something they really hammer home.
Okay.
They give all these examples like waking up 10 minutes earlier or making one healthier food choice. And they're saying it's more about small, consistent actions than these big, grand gestures.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever heard that before.
I've heard something similar.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. But I do like the way they present it here. They use this garden analogy.
Well, yeah, what's that?
It's like you plant the seeds, right? And you tend to them consistently. And eventually you get this beautiful garden.
And that's kind of like how we should approach our goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah,
but, a lot of motivational content, it falls into this trap of, instant gratification. Like just do this one little thing and you'll be successful. But that's not really how it works, right?
No.
I mean, building a business or learning a new language.
Yeah.
These things take years of consistent effort. It's not just a few weeks of waking up early.
Right. So how do we balance this need for consistency with the fact that some of these goals take so long to achieve?
I think the missing piece here is sustainable habits.
Right.
It's not just about short bursts of motivation, which is what this script seems to focus on.
Right. So we've got this script that tells us to start, even if it's messy, reframe failure as feedback and be consistent.
Yeah.
It gives us some catchy phrases, nice analogies.
Yeah, it does.
But maybe it oversimplifies some things.
It does a little bit.
And that's what we try to do here on the Deep Dive.
Yeah, we like to dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
Give you something to think about.
So what about you listening out there?
Yeah.
How do you think these ideas apply to your goals?
Do you think there are times when starting messy isn't the best approach.
How do you deal with those setbacks?
And how do you stay motivated over the long haul?
Let us know.